The power to imagine, the power to believe, the power to create quality and passion for excellence are the pillars that make Multitrex the preferred name in cocoa processing business. About a decade ago, yearning to fill the economic void created by the dearth of cocoa sourcing, processing and export in the country, a group of visionaries came together and created what today is one of the biggest and most respected names in global cocoa business, leveraging on the 12-year cocoa commerce experience of its CEO.
As an accountant, I started in that field and had my training as an articled clerk with Hegu Jobi Sulaiman in Kano. And it was time for me, after getting my practicing license, to go into the industry. Generally, when you do that, you want to go and practice all of those things you've been asking others to do. When you go for audit assignments, you want to go and see the other side of it, because the audit is historical. In the industry, where you have to go and use your knowledge, it's current positions, you're now able to flow with how people get to what you've been auditing. So it's like starting from the end of the journey to go back to the origin of the journey. So the first place where I got a job that interested me, because I'd always wanted to be in manufacturing, was Cocoa Industries Ikeja.
Multitrex Integrated Foods PLC is a vision that came out of a concern that a primary product, which used to be the mainstay of the economy of this country, has gone into neglect and almost complete oblivion because of misadventure of the finding of oil in Nigeria.
It all started from immediately after liberalization. This was January 1987. And the in thing at the time was for each and everyone to just go into raw materials of cocoa, the way we have it in crude oil sector. And everyone was too happy to get cocoa beans procured, prepared, and exported. And for many years that continued. The founding father of this organization just simply felt that it was not the way to go. And that was how it all started. All ideas put together. Of course, it also came from the fact that we didn't think the best way to go was simply to just go into the business of processing without having to test waters. And that was the way, and that was what led us into starting off with the premier cocoa processing factory in Nigeria called Cocoa Industries Limited. And on the basis of that, our experience of the 2 years in there, we felt it was time to be in the business of cocoa processing. In essence, we were too convinced that the direction to go now and in the future is to add value to natural endowment. And that basically represents the main driving force of what the company today known as Multitrex is.
It all began in 1999. Multitrex began as a cocoa beans merchant, buying cocoa beans from select group of local suppliers for forward processing and export to customers spread across Europe.
Presently, we have markets in Amsterdam, in UK, in Barcelona, but we are moving ahead. We are moving steps, forward by going to South America, even to America, to Canada, trying to source additional markets.
And for what may be described as humble beginnings, Multitrex has grown in leaps and bounds to claim the #1 spot in the cocoa business nationally and has gone ahead to reclaim the country's pride of place as a veritable player in the global cocoa industry.
You have very well-run companies in the same business like us in cocoa processing. What's may have affected one or two or three out there is the situation we found ourselves. The production level is very low. The infrastructure facilities does not support it. Capacity of the various types of machines that were sold to this country during the euphoria days of setting up a cocoa factory, it's not able to sustain competition even outside of this country. I'll give you a little analogy. All the three major factories that were set up in cocoa industries in the past, Ile-Oluji, Ede, and Cocoa Industries, in partnership with those who know the technology of doing cocoa processing, was set up on the basis of minimum capacity level of 30,000 tons. And the best that you have today that are up to about 15,000 tons are out of upgrading. The various ones that the money we can borrow, that could be borrowed at that time, could do was 10,000 tons. So if in the ECN days, I'm not sure many people would remember, Electricity Corporation of Nigeria, when you don't have to put off the lights in your house, it's given. There's more produced and distributed than you actually need. Industries don't have to shut down for electricity. And they did 30,000. I am not aware of any other place in the world where the capacity is less than 25,000 tons, and you say you are doing cocoa processing.
By 2003, the company had expanded its operation to include processing of cocoa beans into semi-finished industrial products. These products include cocoa liquor, which is a liquid derivative of cocoa beans, cocoa butter, cocoa cake, cocoa powder, produced from a hired facility owned by Nigeria's premier processing plant, Cocoa Industries Limited. The successes of the next 2 years led the management of the company to a retraining regime for its staff, and thus began the cocoa processing revolution. On October 1, 2005, Multitrex began operation in its ultra-modern 10,000 metric ton capacity cocoa processing factory located on the border of Lagos and Ogun states. Another strategic move that placed the company in close proximity with the hinterlands for easy access to raw materials and the seaports for effective transport for export.
We have quality location. It is a place where, unless you want to do something else with your cocoa, there's no way cocoa beans will be produced anywhere around the country that will not have to be hauled past our frontage. And we maintain reasonable distance between our factory and the busiest ports in Nigeria, which is in Lagos. And to that extent, for purpose of procuring raw materials, purpose of securing logistics and providers of services, and for purpose of shipping our finished products, we feel that we are centrally located.
Irrespective of the challenges of Nigeria's economic climate, the company has made impressive progress, guided by impeccable standards and astute business savvy. Today, it has gone several notches higher in its bid to deliver even more efficiently for its teeming global clientele.
Multitrex started, like I said earlier on, from very humble background, but not without very clear vision as to where it's going. And where is it going? Right to the top. And where is the top? Until Multitrex takes its pride of place in the nation, generations of leadership will keep working